Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video I'll be sharing with you all the books that I plan on reading in the month of November. So I've been on a very good kind of reading roll, so I want to keep the momentum going, especially with November. I have a few holidays from school. I have Remembrance Day off and then also Thanksgiving as well, so it'll be a lot of time dedicated to reading, which is really exciting. So these are books that I'm really excited about and they're kind of all over the place in terms of genre. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. And starting out, we first have the Tales and Teacups book club picks for the month of November and December. So I'm really excited for this. I really want to end the year with a bang, and I think this book will be perfect for it. And it is The Beauty in Breaking by Michele Harper. And basically the premise is that this book is a memoir, and it talks about an emergency room physician who is now exploring her life growing up as an African American, being a minority in the medical profession, and how she's realized that there's a lot of ways that humans can break both physically and emotionally, and how there is beauty in the recovery of that. So I've heard really great things about this, and I think this one will be very intriguing and just really kind of give us a good perspective of life, especially everything that's happened in 2020. I feel like this one will kind of make us realize that we've become stronger because of this and all of the hardship that's happened over the course of this year. So I'm really excited for this one. I'll have everything linked down below to the book club announcement and the Goodreads page and all of that if you're interested in joining. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Next up, I have Shadow Sands by Robert Dugoni, and this is the second book in the Kate Marshall series. And I read Nine Elms, I want to say either towards the end of 2019 or early 2020, which feels like it was 10 years ago. So this story follows a detective named Kate Marshall who 15 years ago brought down one of the most high-profile cases, and although she was deemed a hero, she was also kind of ridiculed by the press and the media. So she kind of no longer becomes a police officer 15 years late, like in present day. She's still trying to pick up the pieces of what happened in that, of what happened that day, and she is a criminology professor. So when she is approached by someone, she kind of goes down the path of kind of going back to solving mysteries. And so I've never, I didn't even read the synopsis for this one. I know it's just one I want to read right away. So I like kind of going into the ones that are continuation of a series blind, but I'm super excited for this one. Kate is such a very intriguing and complex character, and I'm excited to see what else she has to tackle in this one. So this is going to be a reread for me this month, and I saw on Goodreads that there's going to be a prequel to this trilogy coming out in February. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Like, I had no idea it was coming out. I just happened to see it when I was browsing through upcoming releases, and I was so excited for it because it's probably one of my favorite fantasy trilogies, and it is The Queen of the Tearling by Erika Johansen. And I love this series. It's very much polarized here on Goodreads or on BookTube because a lot of people either love this trilogy or they don't. But I think Kelsey is a very flawed interesting character, and I think she has a lot of growth over this trilogy. I love this trilogy so much, and I know I took reading notes, or my attempt of it, because there's so many characters in here, but now that I've had a reading note system, it will help me, so when I take my notes it'll be easy for me to remember when the prequel comes out. So my goal is to read the first one this month, the second one in December, and the third one in January, so I'll be all set for February. But yeah, nevertheless, I am super excited for this trilogy. It takes place in a future but regressed society, and so Kelsey has turned 18 years old, and she has finally become of age where she can reclaim her throne that her uncle has taken over. And this has a lot of political intrigue. It kind of deals with a lot of the human rights issues that are kind of going on now, and separation of church and state. So it raises a lot of parallels to our society, which I think makes it very interesting. But it's been a while since I haven't read this trilogy since the last book came out, so I'm really excited to kind of finish this trilogy in preparation for the prequel. So next up I have The Unspoken by Ian K. Smith, and this is one I'm really intrigued about. So basically it follows a former Chicago detective who's kind of desperate for a redemption. He refused to participate in a police cover-up, and then since then he's kind of left the force, but when something kind of doesn't like go right, he's compelled to fight for justice as a private detective. So it kind of follows his story there, but I feel like this book will talk a lot about abuse of police power, systemic racism in America, and I think this one will be very interesting. And it also takes place in Chicago, which when we first moved from Canada, we lived in like an hour north of Chicago, so it's a city that I'm quite familiar with, so it'll be nice to have a book that takes place in a city that I'm very familiar with. And lastly, I've been making my way through the Inspector Gamache series by Louise, and this is the next book in the series that I need to read, and it is The Brutal Telling. So I don't really want to know too much about the synopsis of this one. I just want to kind of go into it blind. That's how I like to kind of do these crime series. But basically the premise of the series is that it follows Inspector Gamache, who is the chief inspector of the Quebec police, and so he ends up always, his crimes, especially in these series, happen to be integrated either in Three Pines or involve residents of Three Pines. And so Three Pines is like this quaint small Quebec town. It kind of reminds me of Stars Hollow, just how it's described, but I definitely, besides the murder, like I would love to like kind of live in a place like that. It's just like the quaint small town life that's just like, you know, a distraction from, like, it keeps you away from the distractions of kind of like the modern world. But yeah, this isn't, I think, the 5th book in the series now, so I'm excited. I want to continue on reading these, but they're just a lot of fun, and there's a lot of little Canadian tidbits in here as well. So if you're American and you're not familiar with kind of some Canadian cultural things, then you probably wouldn't get it, but it's nice having something that reminds me of home. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what books you plan reading this month are and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.